So, I have to admit, as someone who's been a Power Ranger fan since the original show, discovered its Japanese source material in 2004, I've been following both it and Kamen Rider since then. Stepped into other tokusatsu shows such as Garo, Cutie Honey, Choseishin, Sailor Moon, the list goes on and on. There's one major franchise that for some reason I just haven't been able to get into. And that is Ultraman. And the thing is, I know that I'm not alone. And there are plenty of Ultraman fans out there, and the content of Ultraman is stupidly easy to get a hold of from a Westerner's perspective. And as someone who makes toku videos, watches the stuff, and even streams it, there's typically a decline in interest once Ultraman would start. So I decided to ask the folks in my community just why can't they get into Ultraman? For some, the scale of the fighting just doesn't lend itself to the fluidity seen in other shows. For others, the over-reliance on practical effects and sets versus CG also dampens things. Since the franchise has a lot of callbacks and reliance on past series, that too can detract others. And some just don't like the shorter episode count on average, which I totally don't get, but hey, to each their own. Now, I want to approach things differently and actually go through my own personal experience with Ultraman, as right now I will admit that I've been becoming more and more committed to the franchise when having little to no care in the past. So, let's rewind in terms of my first exposure to Ultraman back when I looked like this. No, that's not right. I was like 5 years old here. Let's see, and there we go. 13-year-old me. This was the debut of Ultraman Tiga on the Saturday morning programming block that succeeded Fox Kids, known as the Fox Box. And boy, was it shit. Except for this banger track. First Alien Kuga and now you, Morphin Black? Look, why are you here? You can't jump into a nostalgia trip without including the original you. After all, what hair colors did those younger yous have?
That was brown, not black.
Exactly! You only exist because I snorted up those Zeo crystals I got off of Craigslist while binging the Italian dub of Kamen Rider Agito. You can return after this nostalgia trip. No, not again! Alright, where were we? That's right. Ultraman Tiga, needless to say, was not my cup of tea. Cardboard can emote better than these guys ever did.
Something's descending into the atmosphere.
Could you be any more vague? Perhaps Santa Claus came early.
Ha ha!
Add in attempts at trying to be hilarious with unnecessary one-liners, and you can see why this show failed to get mine and so many other kids' attention. Now let's fast forward to the late 2000s when I was peak edgy boy. Got the black on black, hair straightened, and I only cared about edgy serious shows for edgy, serious me. And of course, the 2000s were all about the edge. I mean, they gave Shadow the Edgehog a gun. Even Final Fantasy needed gun. In the Toku sphere, we had peak edge with Garo, but Subaraya followed suit with Ultra 7X. I mean, look at this edge. How could 18-year-old me not be interested by this aesthetic? The great thing about this series is that it is self-contained, and although the Ultra here is in fact the same Ultra 7 of the main continuity, the fan service is simply that, and did not weigh heavy on the story, its characters, and the setting as a whole. But this, overall, did not grasp me into checking out the franchise as a whole. So, I think my time is done here, and I'll be back for the next nostalgia trip. Well, that was a thing. Okay, so over the last year or so, I've been trying to muscle my way back into this franchise that so many have enjoyed. Decker being the latest entry was alright, but nothing really for me to latch onto. The original series, though very sci-fi and episodic, it can be a little tough for everyone to get into. Superior 8 Ultra Brothers. Fantastic film, induces nostalgia for something I have no nostalgia for, but once again, that's it. It's fan servicey and not really a good entry point to get knee-deep into. Shin Ultraman. Another great film, but of course, there are creative liberties taken here, and once again, it does not lead itself onto anything else or anything before it. Folks recommended that I jump into Geed since it's apparently a really great series. But there are multiple entries prior that help flesh out the story. This is where I really started to get invested. With Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy Legends the movie. This film serves as an introduction to Ultraman Belial and Ultraman Zero. Belial being an ancient evil Ultra who puts the previous heroes to shame, and Ultraman Zero who is a fresh-faced Ultra with a lot of power and unable to get past his own power trip. This movie gives us deep lore into Ultra society, their origins, and some of their mythos. Adding onto it fight choreography that isn't weighed down by perceived scale, this movie had it all and made me want to pick up its sequel, Ultraman Zero the movie, Return of Belial. This movie further expands the world already established in the previous film, but gives us a view at the multiverse and its inhabitants, as Ultraman Zero gets more established as a character, more so than the previous film. This is a great continuation of what was set prior, and gives a proper setup to why Ultras need a human host in other worlds. I'm doing my best not to spoil these films, as for anyone looking to get into this franchise, I would highly recommend going this route, since moving on from here would be Ultraman Geed. Following the very son of the villain Ultra of the previous film's Belial in his journey of self-discovery and taking on the legacy of his father. You've come off the theatrical high of those other films, but want to continue the story while getting used to the formula of an Ultra show. This is honestly the way to go. This show rarely feels episodic, as its lower episode count allows for a tight-knit story to really take place and flesh out its characters. Currently, I am enjoying the set pieces that are in place here and will continue on. I'm starting to understand the hype the fandom has towards this series and looking to check out more entries. So, for those of you wanting to get into the franchise, but find the cost of admission a little too time-consuming, just check out the above and continue this journey on with me and others. Or not, in which case, you really just watch this video just for Morphin Black? Fuck that guy. I heard that. So, what's been keeping you from the Ultra series? Has this video changed your mind? How about a double-decker? Anyway, that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed this video that's a different kind of content. Until next time, bye.